All right, welcome back to Bald Feather Bets, guys. So in the last video, we talked a little bit about kind of the game plan, what each team was going to do, a little bit into some props, things like that, the line. But what I really want to dive into this video is exactly just the betting line. What's happened with the betting line? What do I think will happen with the betting line? And what's happening with props, what do I think will happen with those, any further information that I have on props that, ones that I like, ones that I don't like, and then also what can the props tell us about what ultimately could happen with the betting line. So a little bit of a shorter video than we had on the last preview, but ultimately this channel is about what side of the line are we going to end up falling on, so maybe even a more important preview video. But first, if you don't mind, please support the channel, like, share, comment on the video. Just help us get that subscriber base up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Really appreciate the interaction with you guys. We've had a great season. And no matter how this last game goes, still a very profitable year. We'll make a recap video on that later on. But if you are a $100 bettor, averaging minus 10 juice on your losses, you have profited over $12,000 this year based on these picks. So we will obviously make a recap video, but we've had a really good year, and appreciate all your guys' support. Love the interaction with you guys. It's a lot of fun. So this line came out initially -1, immediately bet to 1.5, bet up to -2, and then even to 2.5 at some lines. I figured that was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to the way Kansas City kind of won that. They played last, so you watch the Kansas City game after you watch the Philly game. There tends to be a knee-jerk reaction after the conference title games to whatever team won the second game, so I wasn't really surprised by that. What we may see, what I think we're going to see, is I ultimately think the Eagles are going to close as a favorite. You're starting to see it in the money line market some. A lot of places not giving you plus money anymore on the Eagles money line. You were at, a plus 110, plus 105, and a lot of places now have that drop down to an even line. And the way I'm seeing kind of the big players that I follow a little bit more play this, I ultimately think you're going to see the Eagles close as a favorite. Now, I still think most of America, most of the public is going to be on the Chiefs because they probably feel like they learned their lesson betting against them against the Bills. It's inevitable. They're going to win, all that stuff. All the lines that you hear about the Chiefs when they're in these games. But I just think that the market's going to move in the way of the Eagles. I really do. I think a lot of the sharps, a lot of the people that actually move lines, one of the misconceptions is that lines are moved by the betting public. That's not true. The betting public really never moves a line. It's only specific people, markets that move them. I think the Eagles end up closing this one as a favorite. So meaning, if you're really confident in the Eagles, now's the time to get it. And if you're on the Chiefs, you may want a little bit. Like I said, we made a small unit, 5-unit play on the Chiefs at -1, because ultimately the difference between like a -1 and a +1 isn't all that big of a deal. It can be, but I do think that Eagles close as a favorite. And if you want to take that into account into your decision making, it's really important to do so. Why are some of the reasons that I think the Eagles are going to close as a favorite? Most of the sharp money that I track and that I've seen has been on the Eagles on this one. This is going to be a very, very classic, like I said in the preview video, every indication, every statistic, every model, all those sorts of things would tell you, hey, the Eagles are the better team here. They have the better players at every position except for quarterback and potentially top end corner and top end safety, but I'd still take the whole secondary as the Eagles as a whole. And then potentially at linebacker too, you could give that one to the Chiefs, but pretty much across the board everywhere else, you're looking at the Eagles. Argument to me made that even at tight end, this version of Kelsey and this version of Goddard is better. what you're seeing bet in the prop market as well, the Eagles props are the ones that are currently favored. The Goddard over is the most slammed prop in the world. Saquon overs, they're getting slammed. Some of the Chiefs unders are getting hit pretty hard. So what I'm seeing in the prop market is really leading me to believe that the closer and closer we get to kickoff on Sunday, the Eagles will be favored in this game. So that's really at where, when it comes to the line. Either way, guys, 1.5, 1.5 on the other side. Like, this thing isn't getting stretched too far out. It's a coin flip. It's a toss up. I think everyone knows it's a coin flip. It's a toss up. You're gonna see some move towards different leverages based on key players in markets and big money moves. That's really all you're gonna see. Outside of that, prop market, we've talked about the Goddard one. That's by far the most heavily bet prop right now, is Goddard over his receiving yards. Like I said, understand it. The Chiefs give up the most amount of yards to tight ends out of anyone in the NFL. Goddard is one of the top tight ends. He works really well in those flat routes on an RPO system when you have Jalen rolling out. And he also works really well on leak routes to the tight end when the defense's eyes are distracted by the running backs, and then also by the talent that they have on the outside. Another one that we didn't talk about in the last one, the MVP market. One of the crazy things here is they are telling you if the Chiefs win, Mahomes will be the MVP. So when the Chiefs were the Mahomes and the Chiefs line, so say the Chiefs are minus 125 on the money line, Mahomes to win the MVP is minus 120. If the Chiefs are minus 120 on the money line, Mahomes to win the MVP is minus 115. So it almost tracks exactly with the money line. In 2019, Damian Williams scored 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. The MVP was Patrick Mahomes. If they win, Mahomes will be the MVP. There's almost zero chance of it outside of that. So if you are looking to bet Chiefs money line, you can get a little bit more value as long as you trust the Mahomes is going to win the MVP, if you take Mahomes on the MVP. Now let's go to the other side, because this is where it really gets more interesting. People are hammering Saquon to win the MVP on the other side. We talked about this in the last video. The Chiefs have not given up a 100-yard rusher in the playoffs since 2019. They gave up one 100-yard rusher all year long, and it was week 1, and it was Lamar Jackson. They do not give up 100-yard rushers to running backs. It's just something that they do not do. I like Saquon under 25.5 rush yards. I like Saquon's under 112.5 rush yards, I believe is where it's at right now. I do not like Saquon to win the MVP on the Eagles side. I do like Jalen Hurts to win the MVP on the Eagles side, and I do like Jalen Carter as a flyer. But I ultimately think Jalen will be the MVP if the Eagles win. I think you're going to see rush touchdowns. I think you're going to see his overpassing hit, because like I said, I think they're going to throw it a little bit to open up that run with Saquon. And I just think that based on how these teams have played each other in the past, you're looking at a Jalen game here if the Eagles are to win. I don't think there's a world in which the Eagles win and Jalen plays bad. They won't win if he plays bad, because they're going to ask him to do some stuff in this game. They have to, or they can't get out with a win. Another one that's plus money is for the Eagles to convert a 4th down in their own territory. It's not a guarantee, but at some point you think they're going to get 4th and inches on their own 40, on their own 30, and they're probably going to do it, man. Like the Eagles tush push is pretty patented at this point. It's what they do. It's why I also like a touchdown of under, I think it's 2.5 yards to be scored. I like that one quite a bit. This is this is how the Eagles operate. The other one that I've seen is the octopus. So there's only ever been one octopus before in a Super Bowl, and it was when these two teams played, and it was Jalen. So what an octopus is it's that a player scores a touchdown, and then they score a subsequent 2-point conversion. The reason that it happens with the Eagles is because Jalen scores a rushing touchdown, and then they tush push on the 2-point. Jalen gets the 2-point conversion. Because it happened once before, you're getting better number on the no than you would in usual Super Bowls. So some people are hitting that no pretty hard, and then some common bettors are hitting the yes because it's happened before. In general, on a lot of these big no yeses, so will the game go to overtime? You used to get 20-1 odds on that. Now you're getting 8-1, 7-1, but you're also getting better value on the no if you're willing to lay a lot of juice, because 2 out of the last 8 Super Bowls have gone to overtime. So it's a little bit different. I ultimately stay away from those. But the funny thing is the value on the number, even though you're laying juice versus getting juice, the value on the number compared to historically where the markets have been are on these no's where you're laying, minus 1,500. Because previously you'd be laying minus 2,500, minus 3,000, things like that. These markets have caught up with some of these big ones, such as will a quarterback catch a touchdown pass? Philly special, right? The value in that ever since Philly did it in that Super Bowl has dramatically gone down, which is why my advice to you guys is just, hey, stay away from those. But if you do want to have fun with them, try and look for one that hasn't happened before. Just because it hasn't happened before doesn't mean it'll never happen again. And it's something where you kind of want to look for that value so that you're not getting played on your number. These books, they spend a lot of time on these prop bets. They know that people like them. It's, prop bet day at Circa or whatever is one of the, biggest days of the year because they release them all and people come and they hammer them. People have a lot of fun with it. The book has, a week to prepare what it is they're going to release for prop bets. So they know what they're doing when it comes to this. They know how to make money off these prop bets. This is the one game a year where whoever wins the game is probably only 30 to 40% of their handle on a game, because the prop bets, some of the coin toss bets, things like that, people bet those and people like them. People have fun with them. There is a book offering plus 100 odds on a coin toss. Coin toss is one of the easiest VIGs that a book collects, because if you take it at minus 10 or minus 105, it's just guaranteed free money for them. But in order to get you to come to their book and then hopefully place bets elsewhere, there is a book offering plus 100. So if you're going to bet the coin toss, make sure you get the plus 100 odds. Outside of that, the total. This one is an interesting one because the public is in love with this over. Sharp bettors are in love with the under, and I can see why. Super Bowl 2 years ago, 38-35, 73 total points scored. Those were the number 1 and number 2 offenses in the NFL, though. And now this year you have the number 2 and number 5 defenses going up against each other in terms of a point per play margin. So a common bettor is like, oh my gosh, well, it's the Super Bowl. These two offenses, they torched each other 2 years ago. Mahomes has started to figure it out in the playoffs. This is going to come down to as the ball lasts, and it's going to be a high scoring game. It'll definitely go over the 49 or the 49.5, some 48.5 at some places. And then a sharp bettor looks at the stats and looks at the models and everything and says, well, man, this thing should be right around 46. This thing should be right around 45.5, 46.5. Like, we're getting value on the under. Ultimately, I think that you'll see a lot of more bets come in on the over, but the money's going to be somewhere even, depending on the book, on this over-under. I think most most sharps will not let this thing get too high before they hammer the under, and the public is going to fall in love with anything they see that starts to get into the 48 range. Because, I mean, 73 points last time, so what's 48, right? I get it. It's not where I would go. We don't bet totals at Bald Feather Bets, but if I had to bet one on this one, I'd probably pick the under. The defenses are just really good. Reminds me a lot of last year's Super Bowl that ended up being 25-22, and that's after the game went to overtime. So even with overtime, that game was at 47. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So ultimately, we think that the Eagles are going to close as favorites. We like Jalen in this game. Don't love Saquon in this game. On the KC side, pick your poison. It's crapshoot. You never know who's going to show up for them. Like Patrick, legs, but not yards because of what I said in the last video. Oftentimes, if they have the lead, they snap it, run backwards. So rushing attempts, anytime touchdown scorer with his legs, things like that. And would probably stay away from the total, but if you're so inclined to do so, prefer the under to the over. But anyways, thank you guys. Cannot wait for the Super Bowl. We're 5 days away. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we will get back at you with our official pick video sometime later this week. Have a great night.